Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakar Kadash, double honors unto the apostles and elders, great millstone, rule well, and shalom to the hopeful elect. This is a biblical commentary in the book of Joshua, the 8th chapter, and it reads, And the Lord said unto Joshua, Fear not, neither be thou dismayed. Take all the people of war with thee, and arise and go up to Ai. See, I have given into thy hand the king of Ai, and his people, and his city, and his land, Salakia. And thou shalt do to Ai and her king as thou didst unto Jericho and her king. Only to the spoil thereof and the cattle thereof shall ye take for a prey unto yourselves. Lay thee an ambush for the city behind it. So off the back of the hills of Akan and all these possessions being done away with for basically taking being captivated by a Babylonish garment. The Lord showed you that and different forms of um, um, gold and silver. The Lord shows you that, look, everything's in His time, man. Basically, keep His commandments. So there'll be a time when He'll reward you, and that's what all the people from the previous outing against the city of Jericho for doing the righteous thing, were rewarded for doing a good act. And to bear in mind with Akan and the fact that it tells you the fashion of this world passeth away. He was captivated by a Babylonish garment. That shit don't mean nothing, man. Okay? That ain't if someone was to rock that now, it wouldn't mean nothing. The gold and silver, it don't mean nothing for he wasn't looking ahead for what was to come, okay, and what had been happening, and it wasn't in his mind what the Lord had said, and all the promises that were bestowed onto our people going back then, and he weren't even thinking about all the great acts he had seen to refrain his hand from doing so. All right, so reading on, verse 3. So Joshua arose and all the people of war to go up against Ai, and Joshua chose out 30,000 mighty men of valor and sent them away by night, and he commanded them, saying, Behold, ye shall lie in wait against the city, even behind the city. Go not very far from the city, but be ye all ready. And I and all the people that are with me will approach unto the city, and it shall come to pass when they come out against us, as at the first, that we will flee before them. Okay, for they will come out after us, because in their mind, what were they thinking? We made them, put them to flight before us, and now they've come with more people. They're gonna try again, and they're gonna come again, and we're gonna put them to flight because they're in fear of us. All right, and that's what Joshua said. Going back to the previous chapter, he said, "Look, basically, you us running from the face of the city of A, what's it gonna do to your great name?" All right. So that's they within themselves had that pomp and that pride that they were able to put Israel to flight, even though they heard about all the great stories from going back to Egypt, the 10 plagues, and all the way up to this point in time, right? Till we have drawn them from the city, for they will say, they flee before us as at the first, therefore we will flee before them. Then ye shall rise up from the ambush and seize upon the city, for the Lord your power will deliver it into your hand. And it shall be when ye have taken the city, that you shall set the city on fire according to the commandment of the Lord shall ye do. See, I have commanded you. All right. Yahweh, Joshua, his name is Yahweh Shai as well. Joshua therefore sent them forth, and they went to lie in ambush and abode between Bethel and Ai on the west side of Ai. But Joshua lodged that night among the people. Okay, so he was there in the midst of the people. And Joshua rose up early in the morning and numbered the people and went up, he and the elders of Israel, before the people of Ai. There seems to be a trend of Joshua waking up early in the morning, because I'm guessing, me extrapolating that he had seen the great acts that Moses had done in the past, and it played, upon his mind, and he wanted to commit himself in that same stead. okay, and be a great leader among his people. All right. So reading on, and all the people, even the people of war that were with him, went up and drew nigh, and came before the city and pitched on the north side of Ai. Now there was a valley between them and Ai. And he took about 5,000 men and set them to lie in ambush between Bethel and Ai on the west side of the city. Okay? And when they had set the people, even all the host that was on the north of the city, and their lies in wait on the west of the city, Joshua went that night into the midst of the valley. So this is guerrilla warfare at its finest, and that's how warfare, the best form of warfare, is played out. Josh, Gad did that with Esau over in the States, man. When they had formed of warfare, right? They're just random ambushes from various angles, right? Verse 14, and it came to pass when the king of Ai saw it, they hasted and rose up early, and the men of the city went out against Israel to battle, he and all his people at a time appointed before the plain, but he wist not that there were lions in ambush against him behind the city. And Joshua and all Israel made as if they were beaten before them, and fled by the way of the wilderness. And all the people that were with Ai, that were in Ai, were called together to pursue after them, and they pursued after Joshua and were drawn away from the city. And there was not a man left in Ai or Bethel that went not out after Israel, and they left the city open and pursued after Israel, because they obviously saw Joshua, and they could see the army come. They said, look, we're going to come this time greater. But they believed that, the report that Joshua had received gave him some form of pump to go there. Okay, we're going to put more numbers in there, go there. And they took it as he thought he could take them out with the numbers he had. Then when he saw it, he got put to flight. So they thought, let's capitalize on this opportunity and actually kill them all, as opposed to the 36 we killed on the previous occasion. So that's why they left the city unattended to, man. They got excited. And the plan went accordingly through your spirit and power. Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai Ba'Shem Rakal Kadash. Alright, reading on. Verse 17, and there was not a man left in Ai or Bethel. Verse 18, and the Lord said unto Joshua, stretch out the spear that is in thy hand toward Ai, for I will give it into thine hand. And Joshua stretched out the spear that he had in his hand toward the city, and the ambush arose quickly out of their place, and they ran as soon as he had stretched out his hand. So the Spirit was on them to do their thing, and they went and they entered into the city and took it and hasted and set the city on fire. And when the men of Ai looked behind them, they saw, and behold, the smoke of the city ascended up to heaven, and they had no power to flee this way or that way. And the people that fled to the wilderness turned back upon the pursuers. And when Joshua and all Israel saw that the ambush had taken the city, and that the smoke of the city ascended, then they turned again and slew the men of Ai. Alright, and the other issued out of the city against them, and they were in the midst of Israel, some on this side and some on that side, and they smote them, so that they let none of them remain or escape. So they just surrounded them and put in the mash works. They put them to death. And the king of Ai took alive and brought him to Joshua. And it came to pass, when Israel had made an end to slaying all the inhabitants of Ai in the field in the wilderness wherein they chased them, and when they are all fallen on the edge of the sword, until they were consumed, that all the Israelites returned unto Ai and smote it with the edge of the sword. And so it was that all that fell that day, both of men and women, were 12,000, even all the men of Ai. Alright, for Joshua drew not his hand back, wherewith he stretched out the spear until he had utterly destroyed the inhabitants of Ai. So the Lord told him to stretch his spear forth, and guess what? He didn't he didn't stop stretching it forth until what? All the people had been put to death, right? Till they had been utterly destroyed. Verse 27. Only the cattle and the spoil of the city Israel took for a prey unto themselves according to the word of the Lord. Now that's why they did it, because it was according unto the word of the Lord. They followed his commandment, which he commanded Joshua. And Joshua burnt Ai and made it an heat forever, even a desolation unto this day. And the king of Ai he hanged on a tree until evening tide, and as soon as the sun was down, Joshua commanded that he should take his carcass down from the tree. See, because he had to keep commandment of the law. Whereas you see Esau, was, in slavery was hanging so-called Negroes, the tribe of Judah in the land of America, and keeping them up past the sun, you know. And raised thereon a great hope, and they say they call themselves the children of Israel, but they don't know the commandments, nor do they keep them. They're holding the Bible, talking about keep this law and statute, but they weren't keeping none of the words inside the Bible. And they would have known that we were the children of Israel if they did. And raised thereon a great heap of stones that remaineth unto this day. So it became a monument, so that, when the people would have been in the midst of that land, they would have seen it, and that great story would always be told, and they would have gone hand in hand with the valley of Achor, all right, and the story of Achan, and then the failing of being able to take the land by the hand of Joshua through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua Bashem Rakah Kadash. And then, everything, it would have all tied in, man. And the visual aspect would have been there. That's why the Lord set up these monuments and these things. For it's like the same thing Esau does in this society, man. You have the things for World War One, World War Two, all right, and different other events that played out that major aspects in history with the society. Is really to give that pomp and pride, to make the people, have a sense of dignity, all right, and that's what the Lord did unto us. Verse 30. Then Joshua built an altar unto the Lord power of Israel, Yahweh, in the Mount Ebal, as Moses, the servant of the Lord, commanded the children of Israel, as it is written in the book of the law of Moses, an altar of whole stones, over which no man hath lift up any iron. And meaning lift up any iron, meaning hew the stones to make them smooth. But you should just take the stones as is and build an altar as so. And they offered thereon burnt offerings unto the Lord and sacrificed peace offerings. And he wrote, that shows you that, they paid great homage unto the Yahweh, unto our power, Yahweh, Bashem El Shai, Bashem Rakah Kadash. Alright? And he wrote there upon the stones a copy of the law of Moses, which he wrote in the presence of the children of Israel. Alright? And all Israel and their elders and officers and their judges stood on this side of the ark, and on that side before the priests of the Levites, which bear the ark and the covenant of the Lord, as well the stranger, as he was born among them, half of them over against the mount of Gerizim, and half of them against the mount of Ebal, as Moses the servant of the Lord had commanded before, that they should bless the people of Israel. And afterwards he read all the words of the law, the blessings and cursings according to all that is written in the book of the law. There was not a word of all that Moses commanded which Joshua read not before all the congregation of Israel, with the women and the little ones and the strangers that were conversant among them. All right. Excuse one moment. There was not a word of all that Moses commanded which Joshua read not before. Okay, so he basically read all the laws before the nation of Israel and all the people within the congregate, with the strangers and everyone that was there, and made sure that all conversed and they understood what it was. So with that, man, I pray you're edified. Shalom.